Oh my God, you guys, I had to push record because Theresa and I were having such a good conversation. I was like, oh my God, let's not lose the juice on this. Welcome, Theresa Cantley. I'm so excited that you're here. One of my biz besties from online who lives far, far away. And yet when we talk like we are sitting next to each other over a cup of coffee. So welcome
Absolutely.
so much to Lead a Life Uncommon.
Thank you.
Today,
Thank
what I
you.
want us to talk about is all the stuff that we talk about not being recorded. That's why you're here. Because first of all, brilliant businesswoman. I'm going to just read a tiny bit of your bio. You're a business consultant over a decade, have helped entrepreneurs and small businesses for over 30 years. Do you really have to say 30 years, right? The other day I wrote something where I've been doing this for 25 years and then it hit me like, oh my God, we're not only we're wise. How about that? We're sages. And
we're sage. We're
yes,
sages.
we're crows. Some people say we're crows, something. And I was like, I don't know about that. You've helped, and really your focus is helping business owners, local business owners, turn their failing business into highly profitable, well-oiled machine. And that's what we're talking about today. Money-making machines that enable them to live the life of their dreams. I wanted to pop over to your website. And I really love this. First of all, she says burgers are her jam. You know what John and I did one time? We did this whole like tour of the Pacific Northwest, the best burger joint.
Oh,
That's fun to do.
what was it?
They had bacon jam. Now I try not to eat bacon because I try not to eat four-legged things, but I mean, I still, but bacon jam was the jam. So burgers are your jam. You got to try bacon jam if you're still eating, meat. But anyhow, here's what she wrote, you guys. Here's what she wrote. And I know this is why you're here. You're all here because you want to lead a life uncommon. You want a badass business. You want to step up. And that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the secrets that, we talk about without being recorded. We're going to actually talk about them and put them recorded. But Theresa says, I worked in corporate America for years and began having a serious toll on my body after experienced neck pain and a series of extremely scary mini strokes. Everybody take a breath. That's terrifying. You had a mental picture of what they would write on your tombstone. Here's your name, but here's the thing. She was a really hard worker. Who wants that on your freaking tombstone?
Exactly.
Even though we claim that as a badge of honor, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially as women.
So let's talk a little bit about that. I thought I was hearing the train. Let's talk two things. One is, I want to talk a little bit about us being businesswomen in that, the indoctrination. Oh, I'm going to have you talk for a second because the train is coming. Shit. Wait a minute. Can you hear it? Because I don't edit stuff.
I can't hear it.
Oh, okay. Well, good. Then I'll let it go. It just passed by. Did you hear it right there? I don't edit stuff in the podcast. So let's talk first about hard work. And then let's talk a little bit about some of the observations that we've had in the online space and hiring coaches, being consultants, business consultant and coaches to our clients, and the concept of a why. That's actually what we were talking about when I said, oh, let's hit record. And so we could talk for hours, but we've got like a solid 30, 35 minutes. Hard. So we're going to talk fast, and we're both East Coasters, so we totally can. So we were talking about this concept of why and the difference between how some people really teach that, right? Because I mean, obviously I talk about that. What's your big, bold dream, right? What do you want? We have to have some target. And yet the whole idea of does that why really pull you through the muck, the hard work, the grind, and or is it just that the bottom line is you just have to decide this is a damn business. You're in it to, create your own money-making machine, and you have to just be disciplined. Like, what's the real truth? What's the real truth?
I think it's actually, and we were talking about, because there are a lot of people, I've worked with a lot of people that are like, when you get your biggest frustration, come back to your why. And it's like, as I said, like when I hear that, like I get so frustrated. And I've been in that muck. I've been in that, with dealing with, situations with my husband going through cancer and building a business. And then my business partner having cancer and trying to shut one business down and keep going. And what I found out more recently is that the why is one thing.
Yeah.
That's not what really pulls you through. What really pulls you through is that it's, and I want to say it's like your heart, but it's like your, like that grit
Yes.
and that, yeah, you have to. And when I was going through a lot of the things that I was going through, it wasn't even hard work. It was that snap, that thing that just happens inside where you just say to yourself, I'm just going to do this.
Yes.
I'm just going to do this. And what it is like, I named it my sixth gear or my sixth sense.
Yeah.
Just like kicks in. And that's what gets you going. It's not about hard work. It's about doing the right work.
Yeah.
Because you can like work hard. Just like, as I thought, oh my God, like I don't want my tombstone to say she was a really hard worker.
Right.
Because if that's your thinking, you end up doing the wrong stuff.
Yes.
And then you just burn yourself out even more. But, you know, it comes down to doing the right things. It comes down to, like I said, finding your sixth gear that just kicks in, that just says, oh no, not today. I'm not giving up. No matter what is going on. I am not, like, I am going to continue to do this. And I think it's that, like, I want to say that connection to like your heart, like your soul. I don't even know how to explain it. It's deeper and different than that why.
Yes.
And, you know, when people talk about, you know, like go back to your why, and it's like, okay, well then what do you do?
Yeah. Yes. And
Magically,
and I think sometimes, I think the other thing too is like, as you evolve as a person in your seasons of life and all the things, your why changes. You know what I mean? It changes. So if that's always the focus, that it's not necessarily enough, right? For me, I think it comes down to one of the reasons I'm so committed, besides that, it's a business. I'm going to make money. I mean, I want to be able to do whatever I want to do whenever I want to do it. And that's what I want for my clients. But I think also I really use my business to prove to myself or challenge myself or see what I'm made of. Like, it's partly the game of business. And maybe that's a why. I don't know. But that's my bigger vision when it gets down to it. What? Is that
you
good?
Just said something, and I just, you know, because I'm sage, I want to say this before I forget it. But you just said something. Oh shoot, now it just left my brain. Oh my gosh, you just said something that,
and it was so good. Sometimes I say good stuff. Right.
Okay, keep going. It'll come back to
me. I know it'll come back to you. But that's the thing. It's like, you know, sometimes it's like people have their why maybe in the wrong direction, or their goal isn't big enough. But really, it's also like, what's your commitment to yourself? Because if you don't actually have that, okay, go say it.
No, go.
No. Are you writing it down so you remember?
No, I'm writing it down.
Okay. It's that piece that if you're not committed and committed to the end thing, the end goal. And so for some people, the end goal just might be forget the dollar figure, that they follow through. And like, that's the end of the day. And if you're going to say that you want to have a business, like, you have to get your shit in on straight. It's a business. We were just talking about this, right? About, and maybe we can address this too from a woman perspective, a female perspective. It's like, sometimes we were talking about the bros out there. So those of us who are in this online space, or frankly, any business, the difference between how men show up, they're not asking, hey, do you think I should give myself a raise or I should charge more? They're not asking that. Women, what I see frequently is that they want it to be super easy. The fear of judgment impacts negatively, and they haven't really sold themselves on like, this is a freaking business and I'm going to do whatever the hell it takes, even if it takes me longer than I think it should, or I haven't hit my goal right away. It's business at the end of the day. And a business is designed to make money, not to just make us feel good, not just to, and you can have a mission and meaning and money. But still, at the end of the day, like your clients, right? Your clients, they're not going, I don't know, should I give myself a raise? You know, it's like, it's business.
Yeah. And what you said, and I wrote it down this time.
Okay, go ahead.
So what you said was, and I can't stress this enough, and I tell my clients this all the time, is that being a business owner, especially a female business owner, it really brings out and challenges, like, what are you really made of?
Yes.
And that's that sixth gear that I was talking about. Like,
Yes.
because what it does, and it's really like, it's life. Like, life just really challenges you to bring out, like, what are you really made of?
Yes.
And when you think you're just kind of, kind of skating along, something happens, and it's like, it's that constant challenge to say, like, how are you gonna dig deep?
Yes.
And being an entrepreneur, and I get this a lot because I have my regular clients, but I also am a score mentor, so I volunteer my time for people that are starting businesses. And I am like, I've had people ask me, like, you know when am I going to make $1 million? Is it going to be in a month? And it's like, no, like, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. You have to
Right.
be prepared
Right.
to really, like, dig deep and strip away everything that isn't you to
Yes.
be who you really are, and to put yourself out there. And when it gets hard, you have to say to yourself, like, and it's going to ask you, what are you really made of? And
Yes.
that's where, like, people, and I've seen this happen numerous times. Yes, your why changes.
Yeah.
And people, like, as things shift and change, they start focusing on everything and anything and all kinds of stuff, and not the things that they really need to do
Yes.
to make that dream or that goal a reality. And then they
Right.
wonder why the business is failing, they're burned out, and they can't make it happen.
Yes.
And I've been one of those people at one time, but you're right. I mean, business, it is the biggest personal and professional development course you will ever take, is
Right.
becoming an
I
entrepreneur.
so agree. And I think that that's, when I see, even clients, right, where they like, I think I should have been further along than I am right now. I'm like, really? Why do you think you should be further along? Like, let's get into truth about what have you been doing? Like, if you're doing nothing, or you're doing the wrong things, or you're doing all the quote hard things, not the right things, you're doing the things that look like you're being busy, but they're really not results and progress focused, then you're right where you should be. So let's
Mhm,
not pretend that you should
mhm.
be further along.
No,
You are,
absolutely. And I tell people, like, if you're not getting the results that you want to get, like, it's directly related to what you're committed to,
yeah,
you
exactly.
know? And if you're not committed to digging deep and doing the work, the right work, well, the results that you're going to get, like, that, it's directly related to it. So if you're not committed to that, you're not going to have the results that you want. You get exactly what you put in. And
Yes.
I have people tell me all the time, I don't have enough time in the day, I can't get stuff done, blah blah blah. And I say, okay, let me see your calendar.
Yes.
And they're like, and they show it to me, and it's either blank or it's like doing random stuff. And it's like, well, if you want random results, do random
Yes.
things. But if you want great results, you're going to have to do great things. And that means cutting out the crap and focusing on, the hard stuff,
Yeah.
which
And
most people won't do.
it's hard until it becomes easy.
Yeah.
Right? It's like tying your shoe is really freaking hard until, like, you don't even think about it. You can talk and tie your shoe now. It's the same kind of thing. So to this point about your calendar, because literally I've been looking at my own clients, like, how can I help them? And I'm creating this really new, exciting thing. And one of the very first things that will be a lesson is how many hours are you invested? Like, the first thing that will be the first conversation. And how many hours are on your calendar that you're going to commit to doing the right action. And, if you don't have a client during, hour number, whatever, number 9 on, Thursday afternoon, then you're going to get your ass out and go meet people and talk to them. It's not like, well, now I can do laundry, or now I can. Here's the thing here, like, because you do local business, and my business is really online. So here's the thing. I paint this. I want to talk about this, and then I want to get back to, because you're very systems oriented and numbers and metrics and all that. And the data, it tells the story of success or not. But here's the thing. It's like when people say to me with their online business, like, hey, something came up. And I'm like, okay, well, what's the plan for something coming up? No, I don't have a plan. It's like, you got to have a plan, because if you owned an ice cream store, and I know you do a lot of restaurants and all that, so it's funny, but if you owned an ice cream store and it was July 4th and you just like had a headache, you probably, there's like something different, I think too. And because you know a lot about the online space too, it's like, there's something different that suddenly like, is the online space a real business or not a real business compared to a brick and mortar, right? Where it's like, if it's July 4th and it's freaking 100 degrees out and you have a yogurt store on the path where the parade is, but you got you a migraine, probably you're still going to go. So why is it that people feel like they don't want to show up and do certain things? And I mean, I'm not saying that stuff doesn't happen. Like, let's get real, but there's a different flavor sometimes on the work ethic, I'm going to even call it, or the digging deep, or the grit, like you were saying. I've noticed that, right? People that I've met in, I'm air quoting, in the, outside the online space, that have a business and identify as a business owner. And then people are on the online space and they're like, I identify as a consultant. I identify like it just as a coach. And somehow that doesn't mean enough. And then they wonder, why am I not making $1 million? Why don't I have 2 houses like Mary?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people, and this is unfortunately, and COVID really made it, like COVID really brought it out. A lot of people think, oh, I'm going to start an online business. And there's a lot of really bad advice out there about, starting an online business and even shifting your brick and mortar to an online business.
Yes.
The thing is that once you get in the online space, there's a lot of traffic. There is a lot of traffic out there, and there's a lot of bad advice. And people think, oh, I'm going to start an online store and I can do it in my pajamas and I don't have to be, really dedicated to it. And I'll build, this course because, because I'm going to just call myself a coach and I'm going to build this course and I'm going to make $1 million in 2 weeks. And then they don't do it. Like, it just, like, nothing happens. They have crickets. They have these launches that they're doing and they don't get any results, And again, they think that I'm going to build this online business and I can just do it on a whim and make $1 million. And it's not like that. I mean, I've had a lot of my clients that have said to me, well, we have a brick and mortar, a lot of people think brick and mortar is dying, and it's not. It's actually, it's a resurgence right now.
Wow, like, really?
Differently. Yeah. Oh yeah. And, they said, well, maybe we should just move everything online. And I'm like, no. And even if you move everything online, and that's fine, you're going to work just as hard, potentially harder, because again,
you have to learn something new then.
Also. Yeah. With online stuff, you can't just like sit back and do nothing. Like, you have to get yourself out even more, because remember, a key is human connection.
Right.
People love human connection. So when you have a brick and mortar business, you have human connection. You have to build that same human connection online. And as I said, the barrier to entry for an online business is very low because it doesn't cost a whole lot, but you're going to work your ass off.
Yes.
Getting yourself out there and seen. And you have to worry about messaging even more. You have to worry about this. And that's the part that people start the business. And as I said, you really have to figure out what you're made of. And it really will show you what you're made of and who you really are, because stuff isn't going to work like that. It's not like you have customers coming in your door and you're selling them. Like, when you're online and you're putting yourself out there fully vulnerable, fully real, fully raw, you're going to get haters, you're going to get criticizers, you're going to get failed launches. And a lot of people want to give up then. But the thing is that you have to dig deep and you got to say, okay, what can we change? What can we shift? What can we try differently? What can we, and a lot of people aren't willing to do that.
The majority of people,
Yeah.
They're not willing to look at their systems and data. Now, I know you're brilliant at this, and like, this is one of your gifts. I've seen your stuff. Theresa and I have been in a boutique program together before. And I've seen what how you help your clients look at their data, look at their metrics, look at their thing. And I think that is one, to the point about people like, I'm just going to start something online. There's a moment where you may be able to grind and hustle and hustle and hustle, and you can just be positive in energy and you can sell from that for a while, but that resource within will fade. And and if you're not starting out the gate with the concept of business is numbers, and you have to look at your numbers. And most people don't want to do that, no matter what it is, right? Most people don't even look at their checkbook or what's in their bank account or even know how much money they have in their wallet, let alone, all the numbers that come with evaluating the success or needed changes within your business. What do you find are some of the biggest areas that we need to track that people don't? And what would be what are the top 3 numbers we really should be looking at?
That's a good question. There's a variety of different things. So the first one is, if I can talk about, I'll break it into 3 segments. So so when you're looking at your financial piece, okay, and you're looking at the numbers there, obviously one of the key things that you want to look at is, what is your profit?
Yes.
And this doesn't matter if you have a physical business or if you have
exactly. Right.
It doesn't matter. I mean, I used to see people who'd be like, I had $100,000 launch, blah, 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 blah. And I remember my mentor saying to me, because I would be like, how the hell did they do that? He goes, Theresa, you have to look at the bottom line.
Yes.
Top line, who cares?
Yep.
That's great. But how profitable were you? And I know a lot of business owners only want to look at that top line. They only want to look at the sales, the revenue, they don't want to look at what is your net number. Yep. How profitable are you? So I always tell people, you need to know where your where your shit is. You need to know your numbers.
Yeah.
You need to know what you're spending money on. Especially now, I tell people, go through your expenses and say, what are the expenses that membership subscriptions or things that you're spending money on that you don't use or that aren't beneficial to you anymore, and cut them, and then look at, okay, where is your money actually coming from? Where is that revenue coming from? If you have a product or an offering, whether you're online or not, that isn't making any money, get rid of it. Get rid of it and cut it. So when you're looking at your financial piece, your net profit number and your profit margin, your profit buckets on things, that is a key thing that you want to take a look at. Okay. And like I said, a lot of people focus on that top. What are your sales? But you want to look at, your sales are great, but if your profit, if you're falling flat or you're losing money, that's going to tell the tale of how healthy your business is.
Yes.
Regardless.
And that's really what it is. It's the health of your business. And part of the health of the business is if you're not tracking this and you're just willy-nilly spending, right? Because a lot of times we're like, oh, I have a business and I make money and I spend, and we're really not looking at it the health of the long-term sustainable, profitable business that's going to be paying for whatever your house or that's the key thing. And so often people what do you think about this? To this point about profit, farm everything out. They're like, okay, you know what? I'm going to hire a copywriter. I'm going to hire a Facebook ads person. And they make all these investments, if you will, in support. And there's a moment when you need support. Of course, we all need to have some support. We all need to farm out things that we can pay somebody else to do that is, and we need to be using our genius zone. However, I think that sometimes businesses, they have too many people and it's not constrained. It's not clear on what role everyone's doing. Why are they there? And why are you hiring somebody when you need to be the one that's interacting with clients, at least until you get to a point. There's plenty of businesses that have salespeople, but until you have that system so tight, farming that out, you're just losing money.
Absolutely. And, people always tell me, because everybody that I've ever worked with, they hate marketing and they hate social media.
Yeah.
And they're like, I just want to get somebody to do it.
Exactly. Right.
The thing is that people want to farm out all this stuff.
Yeah.
And number one, they don't know what their business is fully about. and
Yes.
what they're like, who they're trying to attract, and all of that. And number two, they don't know how to do it themselves.
Yeah.
So my thing that I tell everybody that I've ever worked for, especially like one of my ninja skills is search engine optimization. And that is one thing that people seem to think it's black magic, and it's not. So they want to just farm it out because it is super beneficial to understand it and use it in your business. But the thing is that no matter if it's marketing or advertising or social media or any of that, especially your finances, you need to understand all of that yourself.
Yes.
You need to understand like what you're doing, how to do it, how, like where your numbers are. You need to understand that first, fully before you farm that out to anybody. The only thing that I would say that you want to hire first is an assistant.
Yes.
To do but you would be directing them as far as what to do. The last thing that I would ever farm out would be your finances. Like, you need to understand what's coming in, what's going out, the cash flow. What does that look like? The only thing that I would, and these are the two people that I tell my clients that you need to hire first before an assistant. You need to have an accountant that can help you with your taxes and tax planning and all of that stuff, and then have a lawyer. Not to say, I mean, you don't need to have somebody on retainer, but you just need to have somebody that you have a relationship with, so that something should come up, you have them. Then the next person that you would want to hire out or get on is an assistant to start helping you with things. Then you can kind of get into the marketing, you can get into, all of that stuff, but you need to understand how to do it yourself. And no matter when you invest in yourself, no matter what that investment looks like, it is the best investment that you will ever make for you and for the business. Yes. And here's the thing. Now I'm going to pull something from my Taekwondo days. I remember one of my my masters in Taekwondo when I studied martial arts. I studied martial arts for 17 years. Wow. And I remember him saying, got my 3rd degree black belt, the whole thing. So I remember him saying, the outside stuff will fade, but the internal stuff that you learn that, becomes who you are, that never goes anywhere. Yeah. So if we take that philosophy, your outside business will shift and change and things will happen. But what you know, what you learn, what you understand, what you peel off that's not you to reveal the true who you are, yes. That never, ever fades. And you can always take that and then, teach someone how to help you with those things. So learning those important skills, those are things that you will carry forward with you forever and will make you a better business owner. Your outside stuff, we age, our team changes, our business changes. Those our are branding all the external. Looks different. The branding looks different, but who you are, what you believe in, what you know, those skills that you have, those will never, ever fade. And that's what's important. And that's what business owners, a lot of the business owners that I work with, I don't build a business from the outside in, I build a business from the inside out. And what that requires is figuring out those internal pieces first. And a lot of times, the business owners that I work with, they don't know what their numbers are. They farmed it out to an accountant who doesn't share anything with them. They have zero idea what their profit is. They don't even know where their profit's coming from. So it's it's starting from the inside and then working outside. And one of the other things that I was going to say when we're looking at metrics, because you asked me the important metrics, profit is one. Another one is you got to understand where your people are coming from. You got to understand your traffic. Yes. And you also have to understand, especially if we're talking about the online world, when you're in launch mode, you really have to understand if you want 100 people into your program or you want 10 people into your program, you got to work backwards from that. And you got to say, okay, in order to do that, then how many people do I need to attend my webinar? So typically it's I think it's a 10 or 20% conversion. So then do the math and then say, okay, if I want 10 people in my program, I need 100 people in my webinar, and then back up from there. How many eyeballs do I need to see the opt-in to get on my webinar. So you might need 1,000 people. So then you can say, okay, if I need to attract 1,000 people, how much do I need to spend on ads? How much do I, need to show up? How much do I, so it's really understanding where your traffic is coming from, but then also having a clear idea as far as like how many people, what are your goals as far as numbers? What are your goals as far as understanding how many people you want to get in your program, or how many people do you want to get through your door? Understanding that, because that's the connection between your dream and those hardcore, results, is that middle ground of understanding what is it going to take to get there.
Well, God, you saying all that made me feel overwhelmed. I feel so overwhelmed now. I'm going to quit.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
No, I'm pretending, right? Because I know all those things. I think that that's the piece where people are like, I'm overwhelmed at you even saying that, but that's the truth. You're speaking the truth, right? This is our goal, is to tell people what it really takes so that they're not they're not falling prey to this illusion that it's something that's easy, right? So of course I know that the conversions, right? And I talk about that myself with clients. They're like, well, I just want to go ahead and I want to create this program. And I'm like, well, how many people do you want it? I don't know. Well, where are you going to find them? I don't know. Well, like, do you know like your conversion rate? No. Okay, well, this is just month one. So if you want to run that thing every quarter, then where are you going to find the new people, the new traffic? Well, and there's so much more to it than just the ads that are running, that are popping up on all of our feeds, right? Because we can all write an ad. But back to the hiring out. Yes, I concur 100% that until you are articulate about your own voice, your own business at every level, then farming that out to a copywriter, a blog, even creating a website, it's not even a good utilization of your time, money, or any of that, because you're offloading. And I think that a lot of times people farm that off because they're offloading the perceived feeling or work that comes with having to dig deep, like you said, and reveal yourself. They're like, well, I just wanted somebody else to do it. And I'm like, but if you don't even know, you're giving your power to somebody else. And this is the thing that of course drives me insane, right? And this is what I want for all my female clients, is like, own your power. And when you're hiring for somebody to write your copy, and you can't even go and market yourself, like the goal should be for all of us who are real business that our business could burn to the ground, and we would freak out for a minute, but then we'd be like, I got the skill, exactly what you're saying. I've got the skills. I can go build it again. I can build something else. Like that to me is real freedom, not just seeing what the hell we're made of. Like I want to see what the hell I'm made of. And part of what for me, what I'm made of is the knowing, just like you, the knowing that no matter what happens, we have the skill to go sell anyone on the thing that we're selling.
Yeah.
Like
and build it back up. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And, when I closed my first business after my business partner got sick, I had taken time to learn these things and to learn the things that I needed to know. So when it got burned to the ground, I just knew I could build it back up. And you're right. It's that knowing. It's that sixth gear.
Yes,
it's
exactly.
That sixth sense. I don't see dead people, but it's that sixth sense and that knowing that I can build it back up again. Built it once, I'll build it again.
Exactly. Like that is, so when you're talking about investing, right? So both you and I as business coaches and your business consultants, strategists, et cetera, like if you don't know how to get to the point where if you don't have support and you don't know how to, you don't have the knowing that that if your business burned to the ground, that you could do it again. Like that's where you need to spend your money, not on a copywriter, not on a Facebook guy, not on, 10 grand for your freaking website. None of that. It's like learning the skill to sell, to be articulate, to create your offer, to up-level your offer, like all the things, mastery over your thinking when those days come that you're just like, you don't want to do it. There's days I don't want to do it. I know there's days that you want to do it. And yet this is a business.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
full circle as we're winding up, because you and I could talk forever and we'll have to
Oh
do
my
another
gosh.
one. Winding up, right? It's the same thing. Business is business. And what are your thoughts around, so we were talking on the, before we hit, record, like the bro marketers, right? Like there's all the big ass, and I'm not going to name names, but we all know who they are. And if you don't know who they are, look on your social media feed for all of the ads that will be coming your way if they're not already there. So we've got all the bro marketing, we've got all the bros out there, or men in general. Let's just be, categorical about it, that men in general are conditioned, are reared to be the moneymaker. And it doesn't, they may not be leading with like the passion of their soul and their spirit. Or women are like, I just want to do my passion forever. And I'm like, but kind of like the why changes, sometimes our passions changes as life happens. And it's not about not having your voice, but it's also about like, are you in business? And let's just be candid. We all want to help people. So let's just like, that's already off the table but I want to help people. Like, are you in business to make money, to change your life, your family's life, etc.? And so when it gets hard, you're looking at his business, or do you just want this hobby thing that you get paid some cash for, but it's like your passion, these are very, very different entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
Right. You and I are like, we are business women. We're business owners. We're business CEOs. Like, these are businesses to do work that we excel at, that we're good at, and yet it's a business. Right. Instead of like, I don't know. Is it?
Well, and it was funny. It's funny that you said this. My first business coach I ever had, who was horrible, she told me that if I wanted to have a business and I really wanted to help people, that I would never charge them.
Oh my God. Okay. So she doesn't know.
It was the worst advice ever. But on the contrary, I heard one time, and it was actually Stu McLaren that said it. He said, the more money you make, the more people you can help.
Yes.
So, and looking at your business and saying, yeah, it's a business. And the more money you make, the more you can give back to, charities, but also the more people you can help, because you have more money to spend on Facebook ads. You have more money to attract those people.
Yes.
But if you're not thinking, you're right, like so many people, and I think like that was some of what we were talking about. So many people approach starting a business and it's a hobby. And when you have that rubber meets the road and you say, you know what, you have that switch that flips to say, I want to focus on building my business so that I can make more money, so that I can live the life of my dreams, but I can also help other people live the life of your dreams.
Yes.
That's when it flips from being a hobby into being a full-blown business owner.
Yes. Amen. And, it's like, that's the thing when people say to me, like, Mary, you just talk about money so much. And I'm like, I'm also want to be, I want to be an example, right? I want to lead by example of what's possible for women and break different molds, right? I mean, I broke my own familial mold. Nobody in my family has any degrees. I have 3. Nobody in my family has $1 million or multiple homes or an online business or makes a ton of money. No. So I've broken that. And so I want to be the voice for other women to be able to, like, that's possible for them. But to your point, like, when you let's be in reality, when you have money from your business, you're helping the economy. You might be hahiring more staff. My housekeeper loves that I pay her more than some of my, more than I made, certainly with, 3 degrees and a clinical license. I mean, I pay her more than I made at, some jobs I had. And so whether it's, your housekeeper or your team or your lawyer or whomever is helping you with your business, or me or you, like, that's part of that, right? That's part of it. Not to mention writing a check for whatever, build a well in Africa or elephants, or I like, the one thing that means something to me is like the kids with smiles and sending doctors off to help them with smiles. So I love writing those checks, right?
Yeah, no, it's true.
Yeah. So it makes a difference. That's the bottom line. And here's the other thing. if somebody wants to spend $3,000 on a purse, like, I don't care what people spend their money on. It's about the bottom line is knowing that, you know, the assuredness for themselves as business owners, that they can make as much money as they want, so that that's really where I think the freedom comes in. So let me ask you,
Absolutely.
so how do you define, so I'm putting you on the spot. So, you know, our podcast, Lead a Life Uncommon. How do you define leading a life uncommon? Because certainly you have uncommon success.
Find it. Carve it. Really, I think leading a life uncommon is, you know, really focusing on carving your own path.
Yeah.
And building building a life of legacy. You know, we are only here on this planet for a very short period of time, depending on what you believe. But I mean, like, really building a legacy. And that comes from the actions that you take every day and how you show up.
Yeah.
And the things that you like, really, you know, not shying away from fear and things, but leaning into it so you can carve your own path.
Yeah.
And like I said, building a life of legacy, you know, not just like not doing things for today, but like building it for the next generation.
Yes.
So for me, I think it's definitely all about building that legacy. You know, my business partner, she didn't even realize she did it, but she left such a legacy. And I always admired her for that. So I think, like, doing everything that you think is possible, because anything is possible, and putting yourself out there and carving your own path and not, you know, following what everybody else is doing. I think that's definitely to build your legacy. I think that is leading a life uncommon.
Love that. Okay. So where can people find more of you?
They can find me on my website is theresacantley.com. I am also on Instagram as well. I focus on Instagram and I focus on at Theresa Cantley, and then also LinkedIn. I do have a live show every Thursday, which is part of my podcast, which is Your Next Best Step. So you can also find me every Thursday live recording different podcast episodes for Your Next Best Step. So you can find me there as well.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, Theresa. Well, every time we have a conversation, I love it.
I know. We could talk for hours. I mean, if people heard some of our conversations, I mean, we have some really great conversations about business and life and all things in between. So, but no, this was great. Thank you so much for having me on. It was such an honor to be here.
Yay. Okay. Hugs. Yes.
Bye, everybody.
Absolutely. All right. You take care. Bye.
Bye.